What brand has lost your loyalty and will never reclaim it? DoorDash. After it came out that the company routinely keeps the tips rather than giving them to the driver, I said frick them. There is a class action lawsuit currently against them for this very thing. Nestle. They are making a huge profit off of Canadian fresh water and paying next to nothing in taxes. Californian commenting, Nestle has been depleting the aquifer in one of the driest parts of the state, exploiting federal and tribal lands to evade regulation. Don't forget about stealing water from the communities in me and then selling it back to them. Planet Fitness. These frickers towed my car while I was working out and refused to reimburse the fee from the tow company. Then when I tried to cancel my membership, I'm told I cannot call, I have to come in person or write a hard copy letter. I do the latter, they continue charging. I go in person, an associate deactivates the account, but I still get charged the next month. Took a third attempt and speaking to a manager for them to surrender my crappy $10 a month. Sorry, that's why I put that stuff on credit card. Then dispute any charges after I cancelled. Lesson learned. I just swore off gym memberships entirely. Can do what I need with a couple weights at home. Spectrum. Will ditch as soon as there is another option. Yep, they have a monopoly in my city currently, but there is a fiber company slowly spreading. We are switching as soon as it reaches our neighborhood. I just ditched them. Fiber was installed around here over the last few months, and as soon as it was available I switched. Went from 100 Mbps to 500 Mbps for $10 less. 6-month promo deal. After that it'll be 200 Mbps. Kat Von D. I used to love her MacBook, sometimes I'd even want to keep the packing, just because I love the look and feel of it all. But she's an anti-vaxxer, so now I don't feel like giving her any of my money. eHarmony. I used to work there and upper management were racist, sexist, homophobic bullies. It's a dating site geared towards marriage and long-lasting love. It should be heartwarming to know you're contributing to something like that. Instead I got anxiety so bad the physical symptoms were making my life miserable. I've had nothing positive to say about them since I left. Let's also not forget she feeds her cats a vegan diet, and her husband is a neo-Nazi with a swastika tattoo on his neck and claims his daughter betrayed him for having non-consensual sex with his bandmates when she was underage. She's a crap person through and through and has defended her even crappier husband, so the trash kind of takes itself out there. I feel for her son. Kat Von D herself is also arguably anti-Semitic, once named a lipstick a very harsh Jewish slur. Also, she named a lipstick underage red witches. While not as bad, still pretty disgusting in my book. Expedia. They regularly frick up bookings, refuse to take responsibility, refuse to refund money, lie to you, and try to frustrate you into giving up on getting your money back. No, Expedia, I will not accept credit to your crappy service when you charge close to $1,000 to my credit card without authorization. I booked my honeymoon at an all-inclusive resort through Expedia. Or at least I took Expedia's word for it that it was all-inclusive. Found out after paying for everything that it wasn't all-inclusive, even though Expedia's website said that it was. They refunded me $100 lol. Hopefully you had the funds to do crap lol. Sony. My PS3 account got hacked and someone bought $400 in credits. I contacted Sony and they acknowledged I was hacked, returned my account to me, but refused to give me back my money. If that weren't enough, I recently got an update on my PS3 that somehow made it unable to work at all. Similar story with Sony, account hacked and hacker bought a bunch of stuff. Called them and they wouldn't refund the money, so my mom just called the bank to let them know the charges were fraudulent. Next time I tried to get online I got a message informing me my account was banned. I called them again and they said they won't restore the account's online capabilities until I pay them what I owe. Aka, the purchases the hacker made. I just laughed, hung up, and made a new account for free. This was PS3 days, so you didn't have to pay for online. I was told the same thing. I asked the Sony customer support if I could cancel the purchase with my bank, and they told me my account would be banned if I did that. In Brazil we have a famous website called Reclame Aqui, Complain Here, where you can post your complaints about a company. I posted my situation there, and after a month Sony refunded me, but of course they didn't apologize for trying to steal my money. Even though I got my money back, I'm never purchasing anything from them again. Black & Decker. When they started, they made good tools, and continued for many years. They went broke, and sold the name to a megacorp that slapped the name on their low-end, junk tool line. Brands don't mean anything. Product quality is all that matters. Ain't that the truth? Brands are nothing more than badges now, stuck on commoditized product, and made overseas by the lowest bidder. Some are still good, but it's never the big ones. Problem is the big ones tend to hide in shells of smaller companies thrive bought out. Hertz. They gave me a car with a missing oil cap, and almost left me stranded in rural Germany. We drove from Berlin to Neuschwanstein, and noticed the car acting funny the closer we got. Afterwards we checked the engine to find oil everywhere. No worries, there was a Hertz in this small town. Unfortunately, the owner refused to help us as they were closed, and said we have to call the company. This was also late, so every shop in town was closed. We called Hertz, and they recommended we try putting a bag over it and driving back to Berlin. Luckily we found the cap, it was misplaced, and a number to German is equivalent to AAA Frickherz. Hertz tried suing me when I was involved in an accident involving one of their cars. Let me clarify that. I was rear-ended in stop and go traffic. Even that's technically not correct. The lady behind me was rear-ended, and she was shoved into me and pushed into the van that someone had rented from them. This occurred in Connecticut on I-95 just after Norwalk. For some bizarre reason, they called me and threatened to take me to court in Dallas for damages, citing Texas law. The van was registered with Pennsylvania plates, that I was at fault because I was following too closely at 0 miles per hour. I told them to read the police report and have their lawyers call mine. Never heard from them again. But frick them anyway. I'd rather walk than rent one of their cars. Yeah, frick Hertz. Why people would use their crap service is beyond me. Surprisingly, I've never had an issue with any other rental service, even the budget guys. Tim Hortons. Larger coffee chain in Canada. When Ontario raised minimum wage, they took away paid breaks, their dental plan, and started charging for uniforms. Completely bullcrap from a company that makes millions and markets itself as so wholesome they're part of our culture. Not with moves like that, frick 'em. Also, their coffee totally sucks now. McDonald's has replaced Tim Hortons for all the things I used to want from Timmy's. Better coffee, better baked goods, super solid bagels and donuts, and better food options if I want fast food. BTW, we are talking price range and convenience here. Nothing holds up to some local places. Diva Curl. I have curly hair that's also very fine, and I'm really picky about the products I use. I can't use anything that will dry it out or weigh it down. A stylist friend of mine recommended DC to me back in 2012, and I loved it immediately. I went all in, and for a while DC products were all I was using on my hair. Apparently a couple years ago they were bought by another company, and the formula for a lot of their products changed. I didn't realize this. Meanwhile, my hair was starting to get really thin. It's normal for me to lose a little bit of hair in the shower, but it was getting really excessive. I figured it was just because I was getting older and my body/hormones were changing. I didn't even think that it could have anything to do with my beloved hair products. Then I joined a group for curly haired folk and learned that a lot of Diva Curl users were having the same issues with hair loss. Countless before/after photos convinced me that I wasn't just losing my hair due to bad genetic luck. I got rid of all my DC products and, after some research, started a new product regimen. Slowly but surely, my hair is starting to recover. I feel so betrayed, though, and despite hundreds of customers complaining to the company, they have yet to acknowledge or address the problem. They are also no longer cruelty free. What the frick, no. Gillette, because of how expensive their razors are. Old Navy. Their clothes fall apart quickly. Not bad for toddlers, since they go through them so fast. Time Warner/Spectrum. Cable company that does typical cable company bullcrap. Nestle. I hope they choke on acid rain. Also for me personally, Old Navy clothes have an awkward fit to them. I have never found something there that I liked and looked nice on me. Same. Their t-shirts and such are really short, even on my less busty friends. Dresses that are broken up by a band or tie have it sitting in an awkward spot not quite the waist, not right above the hip. Plus their clothes are pretty thin. I'd rather spend a little more for something that fits better and lasts longer. Salvation Army, they kicked a kid out of one of their shelters in the winter because he was gay and he froze to death. It's all I can think of when I see that freaking Santa ringing his bell outside the grocery store. Death. Holy, just because he was gay. Yeah, dude. They're a religious organization, and more specifically that kind of Christian organization. They are and have been for some time very clear that LGBT people aren't getting their help. Ford, there's been all the saying about American cars and all the acronyms found on Road Dead, Fix or Repair Daily, and for me personally they all were very true. Sticking with Japanese cars. Dale, you know what Ford stands for, don't you? Fix it again. Tony. Hank, you're thinking of a Fiat. Dale. Counting syllables. Fix it again. Half price books. We were going through a rough time during my freshman year. My mom was sick and out of work. We got behind on bills and lost the house and ended up having to move into a tiny apartment in the dead of winter. Since we wouldn't have enough room for everything, even with a storage unit, it was decided that I would have to get rid of some of my books. By some, I mean the majority of my collection. In the end, I filled 3 storage bins with books I'd taken great care of growing up, and we made our way to half-price books, foolishly thinking we'd get a fair price for what was essentially my childhood. At the selling desk, I made it very clear that I only wanted an estimate and would take my books elsewhere if I felt I was being lowballed. The girl at the desk assured me I'd get an estimate and told me to come back in an hour, considering how many books they would have to inspect. An hour later, I make my way to the desk only to be told that the most they'd give me was $15. Take it or leave it. I was heartbroken and outraged and demanded that my books be returned, only to be told that some were already being processed into the system while others had already been thrown away, so there was no way I'd get them back. I ended up leaving in tears with only $15 measly and a broken heart to show for my troubles. I will never, and I mean never, shop or sell at half-price books again, and if ever anyone asks my opinion of them, I tell them about my terrible experience. I simply cannot forgive a company that would see child making one of the most difficult decisions in their 14 years of life, and not only kick her while she's down, but rub salt in the wounds, just because they can frick half-price books. The moment they refuse to give you your books back, it's time to call the police. They aren't allowed to process a single thing until they've paid you for it. They would be on the hook for every book they processed and couldn't return. The only caveat is you'll need an inventory for the police report. Agreed. Apple. I used to buy their stuff because it was built to last. Now it's all about planned obsolescence. Apple has fallen so far since Steve Jobs' death. Tim Cook is a creatively bankrupt moron who doesn't know how to handle the company. I feel like he is a finance guy, not a tech guy. Comcast. Many years of frickery. Once I moved from a top floor apartment to a ground floor apartment in the same complex. I notified them ahead of time and they told me they had it all set so that it would switch that day, no problems at all. I called them about 4 times. A guy came out and looked at it, and then I spent a solid 4 hours on hold, only for the woman to come on the line and tell me I hadn't moved from app 200 to app 100. I had moved from 100 to 200. I explained she was incorrect, and she called me a liar. In addition, my mother passed unexpectedly 10 years ago. My sister immediately brought her Comcast equipment back, and the company said they were so sorry to hear what happened, and there would be no additional charges from them, and the account was squared away. As mom's executor, I began receiving bills from them every month. Every month I would call and explain, and they would say, "Oh, yes, I see the notes. We are sorry, it won't happen again." Every month another bill would come, and every month it would be larger, with more late fees added. Finally, after about the 10th time it happened, I was really testy about it, and they were like, "Let me put you on hold. You'll have to speak to my supervisor." The supervisor gets on and immediately says, the reason your mother's bill is so high is that she is not making payments. And I lost it and screamed, that's because she's dead. They put me on hold a long time after that, and when we were done, I never heard from them again. Came here to say Comcast, worst company I've ever dealt with, but nothing compared to this. I'm sorry for your loss and the way you were treated. Salvation Army and Autism speaks. SAD doesn't help any of the women they take in and are just horrible people. As doesn't help autistics, they are more of a hate group towards them. IDK if those count. So, Salvation Army, Goodwill, and RCC either exploit or outright harm the people they are meant to be helping, which means all the thrift stores near me are out. Can't buy new clothing, because that's bad for the environment, but I also can't buy online secondhand, because they have to ship it to me, which is also bad for the environment. Guess I'll just be naked then. Lol. The good place was right. I say F it. I buy new clothes when I need them, because I'm likely to get the most use out of something not already worn out. I wear my clothes until they are done, holes in the pants, tears in the shirts, or threadbare. Buying new isn't bad if you take care of what you get and use it. The occasional splurge on a rarely used item is fine. Just don't do it all the time. It's like dieting. Going radical is just completely unsustainable. You're miserable and you can't find the right choice because everything keeps changing. Eat what you want, just be smart about it and don't overindulge. It's fine to eat sweets as long as you're not eating them for dinner every single day. EA, Nike, Bethesda, Pokémon Company, Wizards of the Coast, YouTube, Nestle, Coke, DeWalt. There's more I don't trust, but these are brands I previously trusted. Many others I never trusted and haven't been proven wrong yet. I can't trust Bethesda either. Bethesda needs to understand that it cannot take an IP that has been oriented as a single player RPG open world game and twist it and make it multiplayer battle royale because they played Fortnite recently and that's the hip, cool thing. I don't care if Bethesda was only the publisher or whatever. Fallout 76 was unacceptable for the company or its subsidiary developers to put out as a product. Bethesda's profits come from a clearly defined set of core competencies. They make games that have a legacy and are playable for nearly a decade because they are easy to mod, have rich, open dynamic worlds, and interesting writing. They need to stick to those things that made games like Skyrim and Fallout 3 great, because every time they deviate from them the results are piss poor. I really think that they should have made Fallout 76 the Minecraft of Fallout games, where everyone could host their own server for them and their friends with mod packs. Then Bethesda could host their own public realms with the microtransactions and battle royale stuff, plus offering hosting services for people who wanted a private server but didn't want to set it up. Basically, Second Life, Fallout Edition. Really, we just wanted multiplayer Fallout 4. That would have been the next best thing, and it probably would have made them more money and gotten a lot of positive press even with how buggy and unstable Fallout 76 is. People would have bitched and moaned, then patched the game themselves like they always do. Apple. I'll swim in my Android bubble, thank you very much. I feel the same way. I mostly just hate how Apple tries to reinvent everything by changing the name, putting an Apple logo on it, and raising the price to ridiculous levels. Android is literally the same thing too. Gimmicky feature FTW. Look at the pixels. Very similar price point to the iPhones. Same goes for Samsung, Honor Plus and other big players. Samsung. Both me and my wife were loyal Samsung users and the past two phones we've used have lasted less than a year apiece. Two Galaxy S5s and two Galaxy S8s. My biggest issue with Samsung has been with their large kitchen appliances. They look great in the store, but literally every single one I've purchased or know someone who has purchased has come with a glaring design flaw, as if the design engineers had never owned the appliances that they're designing. I also seem to see a high rate of quality failures on these products, but that could be a small sample size. Advice I was given regarding Samsung appliances: if it involves water in any way, avoid getting Samsung.